Welcome to Midlife Moves, where we're figuring out this whole midlife thing one day, one workout, and one what the hell just happened moment at a time. I'm Heather, and if you're navigating career shifts, fitness goals, parenting teenagers, or just wondering when the hell we became the grown-ups, you're in the right place. Let's talk about the real stuff, no filters, just honest conversations and a little bit of chaos. Let's get into it.
Well, hey everyone. Welcome back to another exciting, fantastic, wonderful episode of Midlife Moves. I'm Liam, producer Liam. You've heard my voice at least once before. I'm here with Heather today, and we've got a bit of a special episode, something fun in store for you guys today. So, Midlife Moves is turning one. Well, it turned one, I think, maybe a week or two ago is when the first episode in 2025 came out, mid-March. So we're just doing a little highlight fun episode. So yeah, happy birthday, Midlife Moves.
Happy birthday. Yeah, we're one.
We're one.
That's pretty exciting. And it came up kind of fast. Well, yeah. It's funny because it felt like, I think you and I had a conversation. We're like, oh wow, it's already been a year. And then it's only been a year.
It's only been a year. Yeah. Oh, Midlife Moves. I don't know what happens typically around one, but it's like, maybe it's toddling. Midlife Moves is toddling, perhaps?
Toddling. Yeah, I mean, right. Yeah. We're starting to move forward. So that's right. There's,
I think one of the things that I always love to do looking back is to literally look back and sort of reflect on different moments from the show. So that's what we've got in store for you all today, sort of a supercut, a best of. Maybe we could say these are some moments from the most listened to episodes. So these are the episodes that resonated with you all the most, that people, listened to, that you shared with your friends, your family, whoever. So we just wanted to, take a look back at 5 of the most listened to episodes, share some clips from those that I think really resonated with us, and, just kind of chat about those.
Yeah. So one of the first, when we first started this, I was talking to people that I knew specifically, like about the things that I wanted to talk about. And one of the people that we talked to was my coach, like my strength and conditioning coach, Sean Fantuzzi. And his episode was one of the top 5. Mm-hmm. So I love talking about fitness, and I love talking about like how women can show up for ourselves. But I also like to talk about ways for us to view our bodies and debunk myths too. Yeah. And so in his episode, one of my favorite parts was when we started talking about the reality of the fear of getting bulky when strength training. And he just kind of broke it down and broke down what it would actually take for that to happen, So,
yeah.
Going back and listening to that was a lot of fun.
Like, it's not just like a couple sessions and then boom, you're in bodybuilder physique territory. I mean, I wish that was the case, honestly. Personally, I wish I could go to the gym for a couple weeks and then be absolutely shredded. But I think he had really good perspectives on it. Because again, first, I think, some people, that is your goal, is to get, a really bulky physique. For some people, it's not going to be, but I think he presented it in a way that was if that's not your goal, cool. That's totally A-okay. Because again, that's not going to happen overnight. So don't let that prevent you from taking advantage of something that is going to have a ton of benefits for you. Something new, getting some exercise. Because again, I think yes, again, getting bulky is not going to happen overnight, but you show up consistently, you're going to get so many other great benefits going on in your life. And so, I think that was a good perspective too. Just don't let that concern prevent you from, maybe taking your first steps in the gym.
Yeah. Cause I'm thinking about, I work out 2 hours a day, and I'm thinking about all the women that I work out with. And I'm thinking about, I can't think of one of them that I would classify as bulky, jacked. A lot of women in good shape, but nobody has that bodybuilder physique, unless that's what they're training for. I think there might be a woman who's actually training for that, and that's pretty cool. But anyway, so here's that clip. I'm going to first talk about why some women don't lift.
I've heard a couple different things to this, so I might jump around with my answer.
Okay.
The biggest thing that I've heard from people that are either new to the gym that I work at is I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to a figure that looks like a male or a stereotypical male. That's the biggest one I hear. And rightfully so. There's a lot of fear behind that. And I completely understand that. The amount of attention to detail that would take and the amount of like effort to get to that point for most people, if they don't want that to happen, it doesn't happen on accident. You have to try.
Mm-hmm.
I was once sitting down with a woman about mid 40s, completely new to the gym culture, and was looking around, kind of felt a little overwhelmed by everything the gym was. There's a lot of people lifting, weights, cardio machines, everything. Someone doing a handstand walk like 20 feet from us. That was cool, but besides the point. But her big thing was she had seen CrossFitters on TV, and I've competed in some CrossFit events. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. What did you think? She's like, I don't want to turn into that. And one of the things I said, I kind of shook her a little bit and said, don't worry, that doesn't happen on accident. You have to try really, really hard to do that. And I don't think she completely understood what I meant by that. You have to measure every grain of rice that you consume. You have to warm up for probably 15 to sometimes 25 minutes per workout per day. And sometimes you're doing 4 to 5 workouts per day. Doing that kind of transformation can feel more like a job more than anything. And for the people that just want to improve their lifestyle, especially women that are first entering the gym, let's just stay consistent. Let's just make sure we have things moving in the right direction. We're lifting a couple heavy weights, we're doing some cardio, and even sometimes we're doing it with a friend because it's a little bit more fun to, one, compete against one another, and two, just to have some progress with each other. It's good to create community and group efforts.
Cool. And that was Sean. So I think another episode that people really resonated with was Liz Martin. You know, she was the founder of Mind Beauty, and just a fantastic episode. I mean, again, we're going to show that clip, but, and with all of these too, like, definitely worth a re-listen, or maybe a first listen if, you know, you're starting the podcast here. Yeah, just the whole idea of beauty as we age. And again, I don't think a lot about sort of cosmetics personally. I mean, you know, I've got a skincare routine. You know, I do put on sunscreen, right? Which is
she says in there that it's like one of the most important things you can do for your skin.
It is.
So
it is super
you're doing
important.
Something right, Liam.
Oh yeah, thank you. And again, I know at least for my team, that's a very low bar of just not wanting to have dry skin and wearing sunscreen. Yeah, even from that perspective, right? I'm not someone who wears makeup. I don't buy makeup. I still found this conversation to be really fascinating because I mean, you know, I there are a lot of women in my life, and I just think that like seeing that perspective of like, yeah, there is a big pressure to not, for lack of a better term, you know, once you get to a certain age, not quote unquote look your age, because we've
Right.
as a society created this idea that for women, like, it is bad to, you know, look a certain way at a certain age. So I really enjoyed Liz's perspectives and thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, Liz is a powerhouse. Like talking to Liz, like you walk away feeling like I can do anything.
Yeah.
You know, like the way that she just empowers confidence, and like she's just like and like beauty, you know, like she's a powerhouse. I loved talking to her, and I loved re-listening to that episode. And there were so many moments where I was like this one's my favorite. No, this one's my favorite. But then when I got to the part where she was talking about how she doesn't want to look younger, she wants younger women to look at her and think, oh, that's what I want to look like when I'm that age. And I was like, that's it. It was like a breath was taken. You know, it's like, yes, I don't want to look younger. I'm not going to be younger. You know, like that, there's nothing I can do for that. But I would like I would love for other women, younger women, to look at us in, this generation, just be like, okay, that's how we do it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to look like when I get older. And just embodying you, right? I
Yeah.
loved, yeah, I that is something that I think about, even with the strength training. Like I think about that sometimes. Like I don't want to look younger. The goal isn't younger. The goal is, like be where we are now, the
Yeah.
best we can be.
Oh, 100%. And and she touched on the idea of authenticity too, and how that all sort of wraps it all together is like
Mm-hmm.
sort of like I think she said it was like I'm going to show up authentically as who I am, and I'm going to be proud of that, and sort of reflecting on that as part of also creating that paradigm shift of creating that, like what she was saying of wanting younger women to look at older women and saying that's what I want to look like.
Yeah. So here is Liz Martin, founder of Mind Beauty.
I find women's confidence kind of plummets a little bit because our beauty changes, and suddenly we have to contend with looking in a mirror at a face that we don't really recognize today versus what we remember of ourselves back when we were 20 and 30, or even in photographs. And it can knock you down a little bit. It can make you feel bad, like, gosh, I go into a store or into, like, let's say a Sephora, for example, and I see these young girls, 18, even 30, and they look so good. And I don't, it can make you feel bad. So I would love to get to a point where women just don't look at younger women as what I wish I could still look like. But I want younger women to look at older women and say, I want to look like that when I'm older.
That's what I want to look like.
Right?
Yeah. 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 That's a great way to look at it. How do we do this? How do we create more space in everyday life that celebrates aging instead of trying to hide it?
Well, I think it starts maybe with visibility, real, unfiltered, imperfect visibility. I think we need to show up as we are and maybe not even wait to be invited, right? Like whether it's sharing our photos without filters or speaking up when something doesn't reflect our reality, like building brands like mine says things like, this is who we are. We're proud of who we are, and we're not going anywhere. So I don't know. We also need to stop buying into the shame, right? This whole, you look great for your age. Oh God, I hate that.
I hate that. I hate
such
that.
a passion. We look great for humans who have lived.
Yes.
Period.
We look great.
We should be grateful of where we are at our age, because the alternative isn't great.
Yeah. No.
So, that frustrates me the most, especially now at my age, because I really hear it. I really hear it when someone says, gosh, you look so great for your age. The hell does that mean?
Yeah.
So another really popular episode that people really liked was Molly Rubish's episode. Molly Rubish, she is the founder, creator of what she calls the Modern Marriage Blueprint, which is, a way to maybe relook at marriage and sort of re-examine it. And on her episode, she talked a lot about, the divorce that she went through and how that impacted her life and how it sort of changed her perspective on a lot of things, and how she wants to help other women change their perspective on that as well.
She was fascinating to talk to, and I think like one thing, like if I'm talking with a group of women, divorce or even just like spousal unhappiness comes up a lot. And this is the phase where a lot of us are, kind of waking up and we're realizing we may not, be the same person we were when we were in our 20s and marry the same person. Like there's this, like, divorce is a reality at this phase of life, and every phase, but like I see it happening a lot, now. And and Molly is really good about talking about the things that held her back and the identity shifts that had to happen for her, when she made that change. And one of the things that she talked about was letting go of those identities,
Mhm.
And letting go of, like, oh, what are people going to think? What's my church going to think? What's my, like, what's our family going to think? What are all these people going to think? And then, like, she's, this wife and this identity that she's built up for herself. And when she made the decision to exit her marriage, how she had to let go of all of that and really be okay with starting over. And that stuck with me and divorce is one example, but even, like career shifts, like women, men, too, we all experience it. You are, like you identify yourself as a certain person, and sometimes you make changes that are so significant that you have to let go of all of those. And that's huge. And that's like a very brave step to go through, but sometimes it's necessary. And listening to her talk about that was encouraging. And also, like you feel a little bit braver.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I really love what she also said too, and this is, on the idea of authenticity, was how she was like, yeah, I was so concerned about what people would think, but then she was like, looking back, like, that concern caused me to like close out people who wanted to and would have been there for me through that support. And just that idea of like, like, yes, you don't want to let people, what your perceptions of what they're going to think hold you back from taking that decision, but also like, you don't want to let that hold you back from reaching out to people who are on your team, who want to be there for you, like your supporter. And that I think I also really resonated with too.
Yeah, that was actually that's an excellent point, because she talks about like people being hurt because she didn't tell them. They were like, I didn't know that we should be supporting you, know, and because the people in our lives, they want to support us regardless of what we're going through, and we have to let them sometimes. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
She's excellent.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Here's Molly Rubish talking about letting go of identities. Making that transition from that life that was kind of expected of you into this life that you love. Right? You had to let go of a lot of identities that you had built about yourself over the years. What was some of that you had to let go of or rebuild in order to move forward?
I was so afraid of what people were going to say about me. I was so worried to be a divorced woman and like take off my ring and tell the church and the school and our neighbors that I was a divorced woman. I didn't know how I was going to still be a successful sales leader as a single mom. So I was so worried about what everybody would say that I think I stayed way longer than I should have.
And I think that that's the case with so many people. Like everybody's with everything that we do, every big change. It's like, what are these people? What is everybody going to think?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, it really doesn't matter. But getting into that headspace is brutal. So you're very open about your divorce and the rebuilding that followed. Can you talk about what that season of life taught you?
It really taught me about how we can all still be happy, even if you don't have this very traditional path. And sometimes it's like a big trick that we're told that if you buy the house or build the house or get the new car or get married or have kids, then you're going to be happy. And that like happiness is a destination. And then you get there and you have all of these things and you're like, wait, I'm not happy. And so it really has been an uncovering of some days are hard. Life isn't perfect. Some chapters are harder than others. And yet we still are co-creators in our lives, and you have to show up and make the choices for what you want to do versus what other people think you should do.
Well, if that's not the overarching theme, right? Of like, like all of this, just showing up for yourself. What surprised you most during that transition? What surprised you most, one, about yourself? And two, I guess like also like how other people perceived you, because you were so worried. You were worried about what everybody would say. So what surprised you in terms of yourself, and what surprised you in terms of other people's reactions? Or did they not surprise you? Was it kind of like exactly how you anticipated it would be?
I mean, I'm sure people talked behind my back that I don't know. They
So at
probably
that point,
still
that's
do.
not a you problem.
They probably still do. But people showed up for me very beautifully. It strengthened a lot of my relationships. It strengthened my relationships with my children and my best friends. Like, I had been so private because I was afraid of what others would think. I didn't even tell my best friends about my marriage.
Yeah.
And my best friend looked at me one day when I was telling her everything, and she started crying, and she goes, I can't believe I haven't been here to support you. And I said, you can't support somebody that won't let you in. And so now I just show up way more authentically. Like, my life is not perfect. I'm happy, but my life is not perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm able to, hopefully, to give other people that permission
Yeah.
to also recognize that they can tell me anything, and there's no judgment there.
Alrighty. And up next, our next featured episode was Dr. Gila's episode. Dr. Gila Sanamar, she is a board certified OBGYN in Miami. And this was an episode all about perimenopause. And I think this isn't going to show up in one of the clips, but I remember, I think earlier in the episode, you mentioned, people will ask you, like, at the gym, like, what you're training for. And I think you'll commonly say, like, I'm training for menopause. And so, yeah, this is I think a really great episode. Just talking about, like, what it is, debunking some myths, and like what to look out for, and also like how to have that conversation with like your medical provider, and then making sure that you're getting the right outcomes from said medical provider.
So there was a couple things that resonated with me that she said. First was, she was like, if you want to talk about HRT with your provider and your provider's not talking to you about it, find a new provider. And it was just like that, cut and dry. And it was just like, and sometimes we don't think about that. Like, we don't think it's going to be like, we're just like, oh, well, this is my doctor and I have to, and she was like, just find a new doctor, like, just very decisive. And I was like, it's like the simplest advice, but it's right. Right.
Yeah.
The other thing she talked a lot about was how, as women, we explain away a lot of symptoms. Like, I'm really, really irritable. That was the one thing that I held on to. I'm really, really irritable. I just am overwhelmed. I have too much going on. I'm tired. All of these things, when in reality, like, it could very well be your hormones, like, because I am a lunatic for several. I like your reaction. That was the appropriate reaction, Liam. Okay. I don't see that, Heather. but like, we blame all of these things on external factors, when in reality it could very well just be our hormones. And just being very honest and looking at that as a potentiality. I appreciated that part of the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here is Dr. Gila talking about how we as women explain away symptoms.
The one thing that is kind of common in the perimenopause era is mood changes, mood irritability, kind of flying off the handle, being more short-tempered, short-fused with anyone and everyone around them. You're laughing because I know everybody relates to that. You're like, I'm normally better controlled. And now it's just, imagine your PMS, where right before your period, where you're more sensitive, you're more irritable, magnify it. And now apply to the whole month. So it's not just right before the period. It can be any point in time during the month. So these are the little variations that start to kind of creep up during this time frame. And again, we brush it off. And the way I see women present with it is something's going on at work. And then they come in and they're like, I almost lost my job. Or I was passed over for a promotion because of these things happening in the background. And no one's realizing, hey, this is not her. Something else is happening. Let's address it accordingly. So these are the nuances that, we see as a healthcare provider. Women on their own, they don't pick up on it because, again, we are so programmed to multitasking, doing everything, providing for everyone that we're not paying attention.
No, you just think it's life. You're like, oh, I'm really stressed out. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
I just need to make it through this week.
Exactly. And that's what happened. It's like day to day. You're just basically making it through the day to get to the next thing, to the next thing. And that can build up. And you can honestly look back. I've had patients look back and tell me they've been going through it for 5 to 7 years, where they really haven't lived their life to its full potential. Because they're struggling with so many of these things in the background. And like you said, they're just going from thing to thing, day to day. Let me just get through this soccer tournament. Let me get through that. Let me get the kids through X, Y, and Z, and then it'll calm down. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it escalates. Then it can affect your sleep. So now you're not sleeping well at night. And then you're tired the next day, right? Then what happens? This vicious cycle is increasing inflammation internally, and you start getting that midlife weight gain that just doesn't budge. So these are all the background factors that I see that women aren't seeing typically. And with more conversations, more education on different platforms, podcasts, social media, whatever have you, women are waking up like, oh, wait, hold on. And now I've seen a change in my own practice where women are coming in and like, I think I'm in perimenopause, and they're 42 years old. And I ask, I love that. Tell me why.
Yeah.
And again, women are concrete. You give us data. We know what to do with it. We know how to interpret, and we know what to do. Unfortunately, there is really no data points for perimenopause. I can run a full panel of labs. Most of the time, they're normal.
Right.
And that's the other brush off that tends to happen from like another perspective, where they go to their primary care and they say, thyroid's fine and your hormones are normal. So there's nothing wrong with you. And you don't have hot flashes and you have periods. You're not there.
I experienced that myself.
What happened?
I went and I said, I'm having these symptoms. I don't remember at what point exactly what the symptoms were. And he was like, you're too young. I was probably 41 or 42. And I was like, I don't think I'm too young.
Yeah.
And this year, finally, I went back and I said, these are my symptoms. And he actually was like, let's talk about hormones, so this is the same doctor. So he's, like there is a shift.
There's a shift.
But I had the same thing happen. You're too young. I was like, well, something's happening with my body.
Right.
Yeah. And next up, I think is going to be our final clip for the episode. Our last highlighted episode here. This is Heather Lowe from Ditched the Drink. Came on to talk about not drinking, dealing with not even addiction, as she put it, but maybe what some people were dealing with, but just reframing and rethinking about the role of like alcohol in our lives. You know, touched a lot on, I think, like the wine mom culture that I think was super prevalent in like the late aughts, early teens. And yeah, she shared a lot about her story, which, really appreciate her talking about that. And just sort of like, yeah, like if you're, someone listening out there, like is considering, again, just reevaluating their relationship with alcohol. I think she shared some really great perspectives on like why, but also how to take those steps.
She was a really cool conversation to have. And honestly, she's the one that I've had more conversations with listeners about than probably any of the other episodes. People struggle with drinking, myself included, because I have times where I'll, and I shared in the show, like my relationship with alcohol is very cyclical. And like right now, I'm back at like a glass a day and I feel like shit about it. And I like all I have to do is not do it. I appreciate it in my conversation with Heather, where she starts talking about just this phase, like even just like a little bit of alcohol and how it kind of hijacks your mind, and like that soon, like that's what you're thinking about. Like, well, when can I have that, that glass of wine? I love a glass of wine while I'm getting dinner together. And when, like during dinner, but it doesn't do me any favors afterwards, and then it just becomes part of your day, and it has all of these other effects, and even just that little bit and how much it affects you mentally and physically. So that is the part of the conversation that I resonated with most.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I think it's an interesting thing to think about because again, like I'm not, abstinent from alcohol. I don't drink it super frequently anymore. But it's like now I'm kind of where like, yeah, like I'll have a beer on like a Saturday afternoon, and then I'll just kind of be like, oh, like I'll just feel kind of groggy the next day, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
maybe this is something I'm not in need of as much anymore, or not desiring as much anymore.
Yeah. Well, what's cool is hearing from younger, like I'm in my, mid 40s, but hearing from like younger people that they're just not into drinking. Like, well, you obviously you're much younger than me, but even like my daughter and, like some of the girls from the gym, like they go out for drinks, but they don't get drinks. They get other things,
Yeah.
like, which is, and that's a cool, like societal shift.
A lot of places now have like really good mocktails too. Where it's like, yeah, like if you want to go out and you want to have a good night and like you want a drink that tastes good and you don't want just like, water or like a ginger ale, those are pretty cool. I do think there's a lot of places where it's like, all right, it's $14 for some juice. And I'm like,
Yeah,
but
right. Well, yeah.
That I think has also been a part of it. It's just that there's a good number of options now that aren't alcoholic as well, which I appreciate.
Do you know what surprised me with that conversation? That I've never experienced like peer pressure with drinking. So if I've gone out and not drank, I don't think I've ever actually had somebody say something to me about not drinking. But she mentions it, and I've had other people say that people give them a hard time if they go out and they're not drinking. And that to me is the wildest thing.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't even notice if somebody wasn't drinking if we're out. I wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. Here's Heather Lowe talking about how even just a little bit of alcohol affects you. So I notice a difference because I go through phases where we went away and I had a drink every night and I was like, this is a vacation thing. Yeah. And then I came home and it wasn't just a vacation thing. It was, like I was like, I've got to finish this bottle. Like I've got this bottle, I've got to finish it. And it wasn't just one glass. And then because like one glass eventually turns to two. Okay. And I noticed, so the most physical aspect I know is like bloating, like go to the gym to work out in the morning. I'm like, my clothes don't fit me the way they fit me before. But then also I hate feeling out of control. And I hate feeling filled with shame. And I would wake up in the morning, not every time, but when it turns into this like pattern of, just drinking, those are the things that I notice most when I am in those cycles. And so I understand.
Totally.
Probably.
So that shame. So I think it's the thinking about drinking, right? It's not just, are you having a drink or not? It's the thinking about it. And my mind was hijacked by drinking because I was thinking about it all the time. When I was going to get it, how I was going to consume it, how much I was going to have, how much I was not going to have, when I was going to do it. It's like, and then you have what's called cognitive dissonance, where you want to drink, but you don't want to drink. You want to quit drinking, but right now you want to drink.
Yes.
And so this is a war within. This is an internal war that you are fighting all day. Am I going to drink today or not? I had a little too much last night. How can I punish myself for that? Should I run to sweat it out? And should I hate myself and beat myself down? Should I just make really healthy food and just try to get back on track, right? Mm-hmm. Should I pray? Should I maybe just have a drink because I don't really like the way I'm feeling about my drinking right now? So maybe I could just tune that out.
I know what's going to work here.
Yeah. So this constant thinking about drinking. And then like I had one, is that okay? Well, it's Tuesday, but what if it's Thursday or Friday or my friend is here or I don't have to get up tomorrow or give myself a break. I want to give myself a break. And then shoot, the bottle's gone. Should I put it in the recyclables or do I leave it here? Or maybe I don't want anyone to know that. Maybe I forgot that we watched that last night. I've already seen, maybe I forgot. Maybe the end of the night is a little fuzzy with whatever our conversation was when we were on vacation. So I don't, is my husband mad at me or not this morning? I don't know. Maybe I just won't bring it up. And I'll just pretend everything's fine. Or if he's mad at me, I'll be twice as mad back at him to let him know that he's the problem once again, right? Yeah. And so it's that game, it's that war, it's that internal war, and it's hijacking you. And I would just say to anybody listening, like, you have dreams and goals and desires that are so much bigger and better than I'm going to try to drink a moderate amount. Like, that's so much energy when you could be like literally building your dreams.
And that's a wrap. Wrap on the episode. Wrap on a year of Midlife Moves. And it's been a very exciting year. You know, thank you everyone who's been along on the journey. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I'll speak for myself. I'm excited for what the next year is going to look like. I assume you are too, Heather. But yeah, just can't wait to see who we talk to next, where the show goes from here. And then, yeah, can't wait to see, you know, what this is going to look like when we do, you know, year in review number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything you just said. The next year is going to be a lot of fun. We have some very cool things planned. This time next year, I think we're gonna do this again, and we're gonna have a lot more moments to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for doing this with me.
Oh, of course. Very welcome. Thank you for doing this with me too. Alrighty. Oh, and we're going to should we say that we're going to one a week?
Yeah, because it's happening next week, right?
Happening next week. So yeah, after this episode, you're listening to this, we're going to be starting putting out episodes every week. So twice as much Midlife Moves for everyone.
So that means I'm probably going to pull Liam in more.
So don't get sick of me yet, everyone.
Don't get too sick of Liam. Get used to hearing his voice. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. The episodes will be in the show notes, Liam, right? We'll put the links in the show notes, or
we'll have the links in the show notes and the numbers for them all too. So yeah, you can scroll back, find them all, and again, awesome. take another trip down memory lane. Again, I also want to be clear, dude, this isn't, you know, we pulled these are the most listened episodes, so this isn't, you know, there were a ton of great conversations. So also, you know, if you're feeling sentimental, take a listen to some of the other episodes too. But these were just
all of them.
Yeah, these were just the most listened to episodes.
All right. Well, we'll talk next week then.
Talk next week.
Bye, guys. That's it for this episode. If you had fun, learned something, or just feel a little less alone in the chaos, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you want to keep the conversation going, come find me on Instagram @HeatherMoves_, because midlife is way more fun when we do it together. Until next time, keep moving forward, or at least keep moving. See ya.